Hello card fighters, welcome back to Vanguard Essential Academy. Today I almost wanted to talk about something about a little bit of the game design behind Vanguard, the way Bushiroad's kind of been steering it, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this too. So it all started for me when G-Break started, when Stride happened, and lots of decks were getting locked into Generation Break. And I feel like this didn't really start happening until maybe like set 4 or so, because the earlier ones there wasn't enough Generation Break set support, so that they couldn't really like make a full deck, and it wasn't strong enough to really compete with some of the speedier options in the sub-clans or etc. So now they've really locked in that G-Break is really good, and a lot of decks are G-Break because of that. And so for a while we had this kind of like, there's nothing really happening on those like turns before you start striding. I didn't really like that. I didn't think that having a couple turns of like vanilla Vanguard and then getting to use all your effects was like super fun, especially with the grade 2 game rampant and things like that. It just wasn't really super fun for me, so I didn't really like what they were doing with the game. But now they're kind of like bringing it around and bringing it full picture with more sub-clan support. And so I really like the sub-clan support because I'm starting to see the Bushiroad picture, or at least what I think their picture is, right? So now they have this like dichotomy where they have G-Break locked decks, which are really, really strong after you can start striding, but then they're also bringing in the sub-clans that are able to make plays on those turns before you hit to grade 3 and stride, or right when you hit grade 3 you'll have, you know, effects. But I do prefer the ones that are, you can have them turn like grade 1, grade 2, and grade 3 rather than the one that's just grade 3. But I think that it's really nice to have that little dynamic where now we have decks that can work early and then decks that can work late. And I still think they're kind of balancing that, because you can't make effects that work early that are so strong that they just kind of overpower. Like, they can be on the same power level, right? Like a card that's Generation Break locked can't be as powerful as a card, or has to be more powerful than the card that isn't Generation Break locked, or else you just always gonna play the non-Generation Break locked version. But I'm starting to like what they're trying to do. I mean, I did make a rant a while ago, I don't like the sub-clans. That's still pretty much true. But I don't like how you have to play a specific boss unit. That's still pretty much true for me. But I do like this little dynamic that they're going for, where there are certain like bosses and clans that are focused on being able to maximize that early little bit of power, the early game, so to speak. And then there's obviously G-Break decks, which are focused on the late game, mid-game striding to later strides. And I think it would be really cool to see more of like a power spread between those. I think Musketeers might be able to kind of bridge that. They have a really strong early game, but for a long time they had no stride game, basically. They had some good plays, but it was a little like you had to have the right setup, or it wasn't very strong. It's definitely not nearly as strong as compared to other ones, but with some of the new cards, I think that their ability to, it's going to strengthen their early game, but also give this kind of like little bit of leakage of power into the mid game and late game. So I'm really excited to see what Bushiroad does with these two kind of like early game focus and late game focus decks. Let me know what you think. Do you like, I mean, do you share my dislike of the G-Break decks initially? Did you, you know, and how do you feel about the rush decks getting, not really rush decks, but more early game focused decks getting support and kind of creating this, you know, early versus late trade-off? Let me know what you think in the comments below. I want to thank all the patrons on Patreon for helping support and make these videos possible. And make sure to stay subscribed for more videos like this. Keep on learning, keep on having fun, and I'll see you in another video.